Hi. So, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy you're here too. How was October? How was November treating you? I can't believe we're already like in the middle of November. What the hell? October was a wild ride for me personally. We had those two eclipses. Uh, man, you know, good stuff, but like overwhelming stuff too. So, just trying to take it one day at a time. So, anyway, I hope you're doing well. Tell me everything. Tell me how it's going for you. This time around, I don't think I've ever used this deck on this channel. Um, it was one of the, not first, not it. I got it sooner than I probably should have because that's how I roll. Um, and it's really cool. So it's double sided. It has, you know, kind of the front facing view and the back facing view, which I don't, it's just kind of cool. So this is the vice versa tarot, and this is the woman in total control of herself. And obviously, if you are not a woman, it's still going to apply to you, but it just so happens that, obviously this deck, that's the name of it. But again, I've had this for a couple months too, and it kept kind of calling my name. So I've responded in true manifesting generator form. So without making this intro too long, we'll get into it. So I have chapstick everywhere in my house. Oh, everywhere. Anyway, so hi. If you're here, and apparently you are, you would be a 2-5 or a hermit heretic profile. And again, I would love to hear your understanding, your experience, your thoughts on your profile. Of course, if you feel comfortable sharing. And, like I mentioned, also, it's not just for me, but, for other people to read and share and feel comfortable doing so. Also, right, it like takes one person. So let's get a oracle card for you, and then of course we'll get your tarot out and we'll see what's up. If you don't know your profile, there's going to be a link, in the description below for you to get it. You'll just need, the same information that you would need for your natal chart. It is a bit more finicky in the sense of, oh my gosh, what is going on? Yes, I am blaming you. Like, what is going on? That, like, I've done 2 other readings and that has not happened in either one of those readings. It almost like it has this feeling of like being distracted because it happens, obviously I'm talking too, right? So are there too many irons in the fire right now? Like, are you having a hard time focusing? Like, does it seem like things are just chaotic or going crazy for you? Did that happen in your last reading also? I'm not even going to try to remember. It's futile. Oh, that's interesting how that came out. It says Priestess of Original Innocence. Very interesting. It has this feeling of, like being loved. I mean, there's this polar bear that's like, that has their paws wrapped around this person in the middle, and obviously a winter vibe. So, in the northern hemisphere, it's winter for us. So maybe there's, like a sense of protection with this season. Also too, like even getting this vibe about like not necessarily rest per se, but like using winter as a time to reevaluate and get clear. That's way too many cards. Nurture yourself, even that, like there's big self-care vibes in there. Very interesting. We're going to read from the book on that. And with these cards, since there's images on both sides, I'm just going to take the image that is showing to us when it comes out. We have the Three of Wands, and I think, is this the Death card? Death. The Lovers. Death is Scorpio. Lovers is Gemini. We have a Scorpio new moon today. We have the Five of Pentacles. Is this the Hierophant? 2 5s back to back. And the Three of Cups. 7 of Cups at the bottom of the deck. King of Cups. 7 of Pentacles. Wheel of Fortune. Interesting. Okay, so let's see what the Priestess of Original Innocence is talking about. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, the lighting is kind of lighting, you know? Even though much thought has gone into convincing you of your original sin as a means of keeping you small and disempowered, it's innocence that keeps pace with you, like an invisible companion, hoping someday to be noticed and loved. Original innocence is your birthright. All you have to do is look at a newborn to understand this. We don't love the baby because of what it has accomplished, and we don't shame the baby for making messes or being loud or inconveniencing us. A child is a treasure, as is. Nothing but beingness required. Awkward. I have to turn the page. A witch knows her innocence is her most foundational nature and indulges the arms of that gentle awareness around her, holding her in its loving embrace. Now is the time to let go of any shaming thoughts, anguished should-haves, or weighty doubts. You're being asked to transform the perpetual thought, what is wrong with me, into what is in the way of me experiencing my innocence right now. You are treasure, as is. Wrap that truth around you in this moment. I effing love. I love that. I always say that, but it just, ugh. I also love that we read that message after we get the tarot cards out here, because I feel like it's always so perfect for the message that comes out. Like, I was already feeling a vibe that confirmed the vibe. Let's talk about it. So we start with the Three of Wands, and we're looking at the Three of Wands from the perspective of being behind them. And it's kind of like they're looking towards the future, right? Because if we were looking at them from this direction, the landscape is different, the vibe is different. We can see more of this orb here too, right? But from this side, it feels like this like blank canvas. It really does like feel like it can be whatever you want it to be, right? But also like you have to plant the seeds in action, because that's what wands are. Wands are fire, for one thing. Their action, it's the motivation behind the actions that we take. I see wands as being information also, because that's what we get by trying things, by taking action on things, right? Like we We discover what we like, what we don't like, what works, what doesn't work, what stays, what goes. Like anytime, and I'm sure, I don't know, maybe, but I was going to say, I'm sure you've probably experienced this in your life, and maybe you have, but where you start and where you end with a thing is probably not at all what you thought it was going to be, because, right, like you have this idea, you know what actions you want to take towards something, you start doing that, right? And then things just start unfolding, things start evolving. You again, you discover what you like. Maybe you start kind of switching up paths. And even, these runes or these symbols that are on this staff, it does feel like stepping into a birthright. And that second line, the hermit line, does come with a natural aptitude. They call it, like the easy breezy genius or natural genius or whatever, right? Because there is something that just almost kind of comes to you naturally. And sometimes you could feel like insecure about that, or also not even recognize that within yourself, which is why, too, you need the projections from other people in order to help you recognize those things within yourself, because you might just be like, oh, I don't know, this is just whatever, this is just something that I do. And people are like, no, like, you're really good at that. And maybe you think that everybody can do something similar, or just, kind of pick something up and be really good at it. No, they can't. Okay? Second lines have, so again, right, like getting this feeling, but also like since it's paired with the 5 of Pentacles, though, maybe you're not seeing it from a perspective of like the sky's the limit, right? Like maybe you're not looking at it as a blank canvas in the sense of I could literally make this into whatever I want it to be, right? Like maybe you're seeing it from a place of lack, because the 5 of Pentacles talks about lack and scarcity, feeling left out in the cold, right? Like this person is sitting out in the snow, outside, wounded, right? Pentacles have to do with our money, how we get it, how we save it, how we spend it. It's our security, right? It's our physical body. It's our time. Like, what are we putting our physical time into? It could just be that you have been in a place of insecurity in those areas of your life recently or in the recent past, right? Because 5s are transitionary energies. They're nothing to like pitch a tent and get stuck in. It's recognizing like, this is where I'm at now, but it's not always going to be this way, right? So again, because if, we're looking at the 3 of Wands from that perspective, not from this, kind of abundant and whatever. Which is interesting as to like this card coming out, the Priestess of Original Innocence, because it's really even about like recognizing your own worth. And maybe this 5 of Pentacles, like you've been struggling with recognizing your own worth. Maybe you're putting your worth on what you envision in the future, or maybe, just feeling like there's not much vision there yet, or not even knowing what that is, or putting too much pressure on yourself to figure that out. So it's interesting that the next card is the Death card, because the Death card is ending a cycle. It's recognizing that something has to end in order for something new to begin. Anytime the Death card comes out, I always relay this saying: every new beginning disguises itself in an end. Right? So it's this circle type of thing. Like, just because something is ending, sometimes we can see that as being a negative thing, right? No. The Death card shows up to say that something does have to end. It could be a thought pattern. It could be a behavior pattern. It's Scorpio. Scorpio is water, So again, right, it could be the way that you feel about things, but also in this card, because we're looking at it from this perspective, right? This feels like negotiation to me. And it could be in that stage of grief in some aspect where you are bargaining, because on this side, right, like this has a different vibe to it, right? But this isn't the side that we got. This is the side that came out. So we're looking at it from this perspective, even to like, there's these two towers here. There's this person dancing in the middle. The sun is either coming up or going down. It depends on, how you view it, what your perception is, right? But they are making these offerings. There's this lily and there's this lotus here. Both of them have this vibe of innocence, though. They could be pleading their case. These could be, people around you. Again, it could be a thought pattern. It could be a behavior pattern. There could just be something that it's like you're struggling to either let go of or release, or even recognizing that it's standing in your way. But this is also like, I'm getting this feeling of this like promise of change, which is interesting. It's also interesting how the sun is in every single one of these cards up here. You might want to take a look at your sun placement, either in human design or like take a look at the gate. Maybe there's a transit happening. I don't know. Or there's something here though, the sun illuminates, right? Like there's light being shed on aspects of your life here. And what's interesting too is that the Hierophant is under here. So if these people are negotiating or bargaining, it could even be this like asking for like forgiveness type of vibe. It's interesting that the Hierophant is underneath there, because the Hierophant is the Pope. We have these two people down here. Granted, that's not the side that we got. The side that we got, which is so interesting, because in the book it was talking about your worth is inherent, right? Like you are worthy because you are here, period. So there is this vibe, this feeling about like recognizing this within yourself. There could be something coming up in your life, and maybe it is because of transits. The sun just went into, is it in Scorpio right now? Yeah, right? Yeah. For the next, however, like week or week and a half or so. But there is something that, is being illuminated here for you. And maybe it is like recognizing your worth. Also too, like, like again, this feeling of like knowing that there is something in you, right? Like it's recognizing that maybe you feel like you are meant to do something. And that's what this is. Because too, after, this death card, because death talks more about rebirth than it does about like actual death, right? But speaking of birth, though, there's this child here. And even this statue of this voluptuous woman here, I'm sure the apple has some sort of, significance. I don't know, like what the apple, well, I mean, you think of Adam and Eve, right? Like with the apple. That just came to mind. But this, this statue feels like nurturing. I'm thinking mother, figure, but it's like maybe even reparenting yourself. But there is this sense of recognizing your own power, recognizing your birthright. And then we have the Lover's card, which is, sorry. It's interesting that it's paired with the Three of Cups too, because it's about like connections a little bit. You know, I mean, I feel like the Lovers, just the word lovers gives it like a certain vibe, or people take it to a certain context, but the actual meaning of the card is about decisions and choices, and it's making decisions out of love. It's also even compromise. It could be making the right connections with people, like meeting your soul tribe, or just, you know, almost like fated interactions. It could be that. It's also about like balancing the masculine and feminine, you know, the feminine of being in the flow and intuition, receiving, with the masculine initiating, giving, protecting. And again, right, with this angel being here, it's like this fated, you know, kind of aspect to it. And it almost kind of feels like coming up to this, like just on your path. You don't have to do anything except for move forward, right? Like it's not something you could even miss. It's not something that's going to miss you, but it's something that is going to show up on your path, right? Even with the fifth line, it's like you need other people in your life to fulfill your karma, right? So it's making even the right connections with people, following your strategy and authority, because your strategy and authority is there to help you be the most successful, happy, stress-free, right? Like in your life. It's there to help you enter into the correct partnerships, the correct experiences, correct, quote unquote, right? And then your profile is how you interact with those experiences, the people, the energy of those things. And then with the Three of Cups, generally the Three of Cups is support from others. It's a celebration card. Cups having to do with our emotions. There's this feeling of gratitude and, of course, offering here. We start with a 3, we end with a 3, which is cool too. I love 3. 3 is my favorite number. But on this card, now we see these other people around, right? But this is more like, this side feels more like the attention or the focal point is on the 3 of you guys, whereas on this side, this is about, again, because this whole reading has been about you coming into your power, recognizing your worth, your inherent worth, your inherent ability, right? And this would be that recognition. We have the Seven of Cups, which is options. This is so weird to me. This card is just probably the weirdest card that's in this deck, because what is this? This face right here, it feels very Oz, you know, like, and look at his face. What is this? Such a weird, I don't know. It's just so weird to me. I don't know. But this card does talk about its options. It's also like, it's the Marie Kondo effect, right? Like what feels good, what doesn't. There's all these cups. You could feel overwhelmed, like maybe there are too many options, or too many opportunities, whatever the case may be. It's also a bit daydreamy too, because it's kind of like, okay, like what do you want your options to be? Like what are the things that fill your cup? And maybe it is based around like a certain person. Maybe you need to be the center of attention, of course, right? Like your star player here being put up on a pedestal. Not in a, like in a bad way, but it's just like, just kind of being like lifted up. We have the King of Cups. So we go from the Seven of Cups to the King of Cups. The King of Cups is very intuitive, empathic, emotionally mature too. You know, like they're going to be emotionally clear before they make any moves. Kings are also, of course, at the highest, or the highest expression of the suit. So they're leaders, they're an authority. You could have emotional authority. You don't have to. But it does have this feeling about checking in with your strategy and authority, though. Calculation. Like, they're also on this island. So it could even just be like paving your own way. We have the Seven of Pentacles. We have 2 sevens now. The Seven of Pentacles is putting in work. Focusing on the thing that's right in front of you. I don't know if I literally just said this, but it's focusing your resources, your time, like your physical presence on building a thing, on growing this thing. You can't just plant a seed and be like, okay, bye, and then expect to harvest it in however many months or weeks or whatever, right? Like you have to attend to it. You have to water it. You have to prune it. You have to do whatever the things are to harvest the thing. We have Jupiter. That's interesting. We have the Wheel of Fortune. It is Jupiter. This is, things changing, the wheel turning. Which is interesting because, this side of the card, right? We have all of this greenery back here, right? Just the same as like the Three of Wands. But the side that we were shown is the desert side. Maybe there's something about the desert. I don't know. You could be moving maybe to the desert. I don't know. That's interesting. And also even how there's 3 people, quote unquote, right? This looks like a lizard and this looks like a dog or something. I don't know what that is. This looks like there's a tail. I don't know what it's called, But again, it's like, kind of like along your path. It's like you meet these people, you have these experiences where they just like, it helps you move forward. It changes things for you. I love that. And I'm leaving it there. Thank you so much for allowing me to read your cards. I will talk to you soon. Bye.